and welcome back to Step Up. I'm super excited today. We are continuing on our journey of the choice. And if you've missed any of the episodes, please go to the websites. All the details is at the end of at the bottom of the screen, also at the end of the program, and where we just talked to Elizabeth Robertson Campbell. And this woman is amazing. She's just absolutely amazing. Every time she's on the program, I just really feel the presence of God, and everything that's coming out is coming from a deep place of healing, a deep place of anointing, and that blesses me. Welcome back to Step Up, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Michelle. Greatly honored to be here.
I'm so happy that you're here, and we spoke last week and the previous week about your journey as a single woman and how God took you literally from the floor, healed you, but you allowed Him to heal you. And this program started off as a single woman program, single woman in waiting, because there's no one speaking on our behalf. I mean, I'm 42 and I'm still single, and people say, what's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with you. You're just a woman awaiting your time, because everybody's journey is different. Everybody's story is different. And I'm glad that I'm single at this point in my life, because I'm mature. I know who I am in God. I'm not wandering anymore in the wilderness, looking and searching for my identity. I know exactly who I am. So I'm so glad that God matured me in this season of my life, or in this road that I'm on, to be able to, when I get married this time, or when I get married, not this time, I've never been married. So when I do get married, I will know exactly who I am, and I'll know exactly what God's choice is for me. Because you said it last week so many times in the program, God's choice for us is always the best.
Always.
You came out of a very, very bad disappointment. And it was funny because last week, Monday, I have a Monday motivation. And one of the things that God dropped in my spirit Sunday morning was, your worst battle will become your highest praise.
There we go. Exactly.
And when I heard that it has to be God, because He's the only one that can take the mess that you were in and bring about a change, heal you, and you can give Him the highest praise out of where you come from.
That's right.
So you had one of your heart was broken to the point that you were beyond suicidal. And we also heard last week a little bit about a car accident situation that you spoke about. But out of that, and I want to go further today, out of that came a book, The Choice, and I spoke to you guys about it last week, and I want you to get your hands on the book. If you don't know where to get it, you can contact me at Step Up, you can WhatsApp us, you can email us, because I want you to get your hand on this book. You, through all of this, all the brokenness, all the pain, all the disappointment, all the millions and millions of tears that you cried, purpose came out of it. And out of the book came a movie. So talk to us about that.
Yes. Chantal, when a book was spoken about, or even a movie mentioned, was right when I was still going through everything, while this tragedy was happening. The rabbi who'd been my teacher, who was teaching me the Hebraic way and studying, because I was studying to convert to Judaism, and when it all bombed out and I couldn't deny my faith in Jesus, 48 hours before my wedding day, I mean, it was a girl's worst nightmare. He said to me, Elizabeth, your story makes a movie. It makes the Thornbirds look like Mickey Mouse. Well, my husband just read the Thornbirds, and oh my goodness, what a tragic love story.
Really?
And mine is, I wouldn't say as tragic, but tragedy is tragedy. Romeo and Juliet,
That's
whatever,
true.
it's all between two lovers that cannot be together. So yes, it was on that equation. And then obviously people who heard my story, they were saying, oh my goodness, you got to write a book, and being dyslexic, and I'd still be sitting in standard 4 trying to pass. If it wasn't for precious teachers saying, let's get this kid out of here. But in my day, they thought dyslexia was something that you ate or something. I mean, they didn't know. You were just like the little dwarf chick in the class. But, as time went on, they realized it was a condition. It had nothing to do with your intellect. It was actually, most of the clever people in the world are actually dyslexic. But that's why God chooses the foolish and the lowly things of this world.
Does He not just have a sense of humor, and then He used
Unbelievable.
us, who was rejected, the thrown out ones?
Yeah. So for me to start writing a book, bless my mother's heart, she said, oh, I believe, computers have spell check. I'll buy you the computer. Because she was my biggest fan. Oh, you're going to write a book, you see.
Aww.
So she bought the computer with spell check. And I just started thinking, you know what, maybe this is closure. Maybe I need to just put it all down. My wheels were spinning in the mud like, grrr. I mean, I was turning 38, 39, 40, and, nothing happening. And you have your little trauma with God, and then you find again, 80% you find, 20% you doing this and saying, God, what is wrong with you? Is it such a crime to want a husband? What do you have to do more to have this man? How much soul searching do you have to do?
You're amazing.
So, there was a time where I thought, okay, I'll do this flippin' book. So, for me to sit still, it's going to be ADD. I thought, this is going to be a miracle. And, I found it fascinating. It was like a form of art, writing and telling my story. And then I met Fiona Veach-Smith. She was an editor and a writer herself and a romantic. And we met at Mug and Bean, as I told you, and she just gobbled up my story. And she was the one who said on the program last that, do you realize this is not a book, it's a movie?
Yeah.
So she turned my book into a bestseller because she just dovetailed with me. She took chapter by chapter, and there were times where I just couldn't visit the pain, and she would say, sorry Liz, there's a big gap between that incident and this situation. What happened then? I don't want to go there. She said, write about it. And I used to sit at the keyboard and just cry my heart out and put it in. She'd weave it in. And to this day, if somebody had given me a mandate and said, Liz, now you've got to write this book, dyslexic and all, and it's got to appeal to Jew and Christian, young and old, male, female, atheist, please, you would have just run for the, furthest hill and mountain and say, fall on me. And that's what it became. It became a bestseller. And this is where it gets so fabulous, because God, being the engineer of all engineers, the matchmaker of all matchmakers, he knew that there was one little human being on this planet that I needed to hook up with, because I ended up marrying my publisher. So how is God?
How did you meet him?
Oh, well,
and how did you feel when you met him?
Man, I'd come to that place where I'd written the book, but now I didn't have an ending because I was still then single and miserable, And all my friends who were married were wishing they were single and saying, Liz, you're so lucky. Just make the best of your time. I wish I had a night of my own. And I'd say, what's wrong with this picture? They've got all that I want.
They want what I want, and I want what they...
No, there's something wrong here. And then you think, why are we so discontented and always thinking the grass is greener on the other side?
And then the glass, the reason why it remains green is because it's plastic glass. It's never real. It's never real.
I just thought there was more dung on the other side of the... That too, girl. Oh my word.
And then what happened? So you're ending off your book and then...
Yeah. And so then my friends were saying, then I had this epiphany with God. And I said, I've got to meet this Jesus again because I'm still single and a bit miserable. What a pitiful end to this book. Sorry, girls. I'm still single, 42, and miserable 80% or 20% of the time. Anyway, that changed. And I had this unbelievable where I felt like I was married, to God. I mean, I even told some guy that was trying to pick me up on the beachfront. I used to love jogging. And he was trying to chat me up and find a day. So I said, God, excuse me for this, but I'm going to just tell him a lie. Because I could see he's clearly Jewish. I mean, I could be in a desert island and I'd find a Jew
and they
there.
would find you.
Yes, anyway, I was living in Sea Point, I suppose what can you expect? Anyway, he said, how about a date? I said, listen, I'm sorry, I'm married, meaning, Jesus.
Yeah.
Because now I'd sort of bought a little ring to put on my wedding finger because I was engaged to the Lord, the King of Kings. So this was going to be my route out, for any other guy who's trying to, match. Anyway, so I said, I'm married. So he said, oh, wow, I don't see rings. I said, well, I don't go jogging with my jewelry, So he says, well, who is the guy? I never see you with him. So I said, well, he's a very busy guy. I said, he's actually a heart surgeon. Meaning the King of Kings, because that's what he is. He comes to mend our hearts, So he says, oh wow. He says, is he South African? So I said, Israeli, meaning now Jesus, So he says, now being Jewish, he said, oh, wow. He said, that's amazing, So I said, bye, I'll see you around, And the next few days, I'm in my little rusted Cadet now, filling up with petrol, and he comes, leans on the bonnet, looks at my rusted car, he says, so I see your hubby's not doing too well.
Oh my word, this is so cool.
So I said, oh, Andrea, I've got to tell you the truth. I said, I'm actually meaning Jesus. I'm a Jesus freak, okay? You're clearly Jewish. I've been there, done that. I've written the book. So don't
Literally.
pick me up, baby, Anyway, the long and the short of it was that the book became so popular that because my husband now, you're going to meet him one day, hopefully.
Yeah.
All the listeners out there. He literally, his reps just gobbled up the story. Wherever they went, they just sold copies after copy. We were then invited to America to have it published there. And it just gathered momentum, because when a story is from God, because it's not about me anymore, it's about him and us coming into fullness, And
so how did you meet your husband to the day when you met him?
Oh,
I want to know this story.
I knew him through Christian circles, but married guy, 5 kids, nice looking, but, hello. Anyway, and then good friends of mine were saying, you've got to meet Jamie Campbell because he works for a publishing company and he can help you publish the book. So I thought, oh, well, one day, Anyway, friends of ours who were very friendly with him invited us for a bring and share lunch. And so Jamie lived in Camps Bay, I lived in Bantry Bay. They arranged for him to come and pick me up and drive through together to this bring and share, which was my usual worst because, like another singles, oh my word, with a bottle of Vanky and of Samis and you think, no, I can't handle it. Anyway, I got in the car and I thought, yeah, rather nice guy, but now don't forget, I wasn't looking. I mean,
because you're married now.
I mean, men and marriage is like, I really didn't care anymore. I'd booked a trip to visit my sister in Italy, so I was out of there after a few weeks, because I'd got plans and I was happy chappy. Anyway, I thought, rather gorgeous. But,
okay, I'm noting this one.
And then I realized he's going through a divorce. I thought, well, so what, but shame, poor guy, And we just hit it off. We realized we come
like
from the
house
same.
On fire.
Yeah, he was like a girl version of me, as far as loving tennis, hiking. He hated pollution like me. He spoke a bit of Xhosa. We came from farms in the Eastern Cape. His parents farmed down the road from my parents. I said, what? Where were you my whole life? Type of thing. Anyway, we just got on and he was quite fatterig. So I tuned him on the beach. We were throwing tennis balls at each other because he had his little boy with him. And he was quite touchy and feely, which is great. But I mean, I said to him, walking, he's a bit fatterig. So I tuned him on the way back to the house where we were having the bring and share. And I said, Jamie, you're going to be single soon through your divorce, and you're going to get yourself into a lot of trouble because you're rather gorgeous and you're very fatterig, and girls that are desperate are going to take you up the wrong way. So just, be careful. And he thought, who's this chick telling me what to do? But anyway, he just passed it over, like thinking whatever. But he was just so friendly and so divine, and just, we got on like how, anyway, I gave him my manuscript. That's why we met.
That's why
my friend said, bring your manuscript. We got to introduce you to this guy. He went home and, being a publisher, he gets manuscripts all the time, and he has a whole lot on his desk and kid around to them. He's got a speed read. So the one night he thought, let me just see what this book's. And I mean, I was not his cup of tea as far as this Israel thing is concerned. He thought I had a disease called Israelitis. And he thought, no, these chicks are weird, there's all this shalom and, earrings and stars of Zion and prayer shawls, not his cup of tea. And so he read my book and he couldn't put it down. And he wrote an email the next day. He says, we need to meet. He says, we need to meet. He said, read your book, your manuscript. He said, what a story, what a God, and what a girl. He said, we need to talk. So, and what can I bring? Can I come for supper? Because now he was going through a divorce. So, he said, what can I bring? So, of course, now I'm typing back. So I think, oh, what can I bring? I felt like saying, your hot pod, But I delete. I said, no, don't bring anything. It'd be great to chat. And it was history. He came, it was like we knew each other forever. And the last thing on his agenda was another, potential wife, because, he was just going through the divorce.
You're going through something now?
No. It was not on his premise. He had 5 children, looking after them, getting through the divorce was enough for him, So this was not his plan of action. And maybe he can tell you on the next thing, because it was a supernatural experience, both of us. The anointing, the confirmation. We didn't even know each other. He proposed on the second date. We hadn't even, he had just played the fool with me and held my hand here and there, but nothing. We didn't know anything about each other other than friends knowing each other, mutual friends. And he had no permission over his mouth when we met again. And now you girls must know, anybody being single, Valentine's is not your favorite day on the calendar. I used to hate those days because, there you were stuck, and everybody's got these dates and going out, and your mother's phoning and saying, but what about you? Why don't you go out, my darling? Would you meet some people? I'd rather go to bed with a bad book than just set something up to go out, on a Valentine's night with some friends. No. Anyway, he, not even realizing it was Valentine, the 14th of Feb, says, well, why don't we go and do a supper, because we really need to discuss the manuscript. I said, Jamie, it's a Valentine. We won't get in anywhere. It's all booked out. He says, don't worry. He said, I've got, I know people, I know God in high places. And literally, we went to a beautiful restaurant in Camp Spain. There was a cancellation. We walked in, table for 2, complimentary bottle of champagne, roses, and we sat down and Jamie said, you see?
And my word.
He literally proposed without permission. He didn't even know he was going to propose. On the way, picking me up from work. He used to work in Wellington at Lux Verbi. He had the English department for, bringing in English books to South Africa. He heard the Lord say twice, and he just turned KFM up louder. He said, I want you to nuptial her. And he thought, what? Old-fashioned English. Nuptial, does that mean marry? No. And literally, he'd even forgotten about when he came, when we went out and chatting and getting on so well. He literally forgot about that, God speaking to him in the car. And then at that table, he just was baptized in God's love for me. He started crying. I thought, oh, this guy's got indigestion. Because now we don't know each other. So I said, Jamie, are you okay? And he said, Liz, you don't understand. He said, God's just baptized me in his love for you. He said, do you know how much God loves you? And now, as I look at you out there, we don't know how much God loves us.
No, we don't.
Loves us stickant. He is so in love with us, and he knows everything, our desires. He wants to lavish us with everything that he's got, with that will be good for us and more than your dreams. And there, as he baptized Jamie in that love, he said, he didn't know what he said. What must I do to show her? He says out loud, speaking to God. And I'm looking at this guy as if he's a bit lost it, he said, give me your hands. So I thought, gave them to him over the table, and he took them. And he looked me in the eye and he said, Elizabeth Hayes Robertson, marry me, Jamie Louis McLachlan Campbell in Jerusalem. And I was like, huh? I was like, what? And then he got down on his knees and he said the same thing again loudly in the restaurant. Elizabeth Hayes Robertson, marry me in Jerusalem. A few people clapped around our table.
What did you do?
I was just, I saw my life fast forward. It was like a few other times when I had proposals. I was once literally struck dumb by an angel. I had a hand over my mouth and I knew to say no to this proposal. But this one, it was just yes. A peace that passed all understanding. There was absolutely no doubt. Even the 5 children, where usually if you know a guy that's got kids,
you're gone.
You
don't even want to be there.
You pole vault in the other direction. It was like, this is your shout. And when something's of God, you can have 10 stepkids, but if it's not of God, one can unravel you because it's not God, and you trying to fit a shoe that doesn't fit you. And yes, we had our issues, obviously, blended family. Thank God I came into it like I just left school. I didn't have family, like exes and children, so it was like he married me like I just left school in a measure, although I was 42. But thank God for my wholeness, because I really, really wasn't looking for a marriage, or anyways, I was so okay. And that's what got in with me. Who's this bird? Why is she just so free? And I wasn't like all fatterig and worrying, because he had to love me as I was. I had already premature aging. I was not going to go there with some guy who was wanting me to go and do Botox and get myself all screwed. He had to love me, warts and all, wrinkles and all. And you know what? To this day, girls and boys, whatever has been the hook, your little funny toes or your nose, hello, my husband loves every single bit of me that I find offensive and a compliment, just so complex about. And because he loves me, it's not the outside. He loves me, and that is what's so beautiful. And the one morning when I forgot to take my makeup off and my hair was wusser than it is now, he brought me coffee and he said, "There you go, my gorgeous." And I had the mirror in front of my bed, and I looked at myself and I said, "Gorgeous," hello. And he looks at me, and he's walking with his coffee mug, and he says, "Liz, I'm talking to the inner you." Isn't that divine?
Oh my word.
So if we're not inner beauty, if we don't have the inner beauty, you got be all.
What would you say to this story is just, I'm so happy that Louise has introduced me to you.
Oh,
it's just wow beyond, I don't even have words. What would you say to girls that says, I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait because it's just too tough to wait.
Yes.
Because sometimes, Elizabeth, it's tough to wait.
Yes, absolutely.
It's very, very, it's hard.
Absolutely.
Because like you said, God, what do I do? How do I do it?
Yes.
You speak as if I was speaking to you. Because when I'm really upset with God is when I had a problem with my car. And then I say, you see, this is the reason why I don't want to be single. And then I carry on, and then I'm upset with God for days. Yeah. Because, and then so I understand where you're coming from, because sometimes a tap breaks, sometimes the shower breaks.
Yeah.
And you're just upset because why is God not sorting you out?
That's right. Oh my goodness. Well, you can phone Jamie. He will come and sort your tap out. Anyway.
Oh my word.
I think the waiting part is like part of our journey with God. There's always a wait, I'm afraid. And sometimes just keeping yourself not focusing on the pot, watching it boiling, is the big thing. Because sometimes when you're just focusing on when you're going to meet that guy, or why isn't he not coming, or where God, focus in on all the things that God has blessed you with, and your friends, and
the beautiful things
that's
around
right. And don't focus on it, because then it'll happen before you know.
Tell me something. How did you feel when he proposed? I know you felt excited, you felt peace, but what went through your mind at that moment?
Oh my word! It was such a glorious moment in time. We've often gone back to that restaurant to relive that, not relive, but to be at that spot at that moment in time. It was just such an incredible euphoria of peace. And obviously once we started breaking the news to our families, prospective families, the confirmation was just off the charts, which helped a lot. Because when we told them the news, they said, "Oh my goodness, this is like a match made in heaven. How come we never thought of it before?" But obviously, because Jamie had been married, obviously.
And the children, when you met the children, how was that?
Wow, always. Divorce is not nice, my darling. And as Jamie, it wasn't even a word in his vocabulary, divorce. He hung in with that marriage for many years. Yeah, just hoping that somehow it would turn, for the children's sake, because let's face it, every little kid wants their mommy and daddy back together. So I knew, I came from a divorced home, so I was able to understand from my stepmoms how they used to react to us as stepchildren.
Yeah.
And so I'd sort of learned what not to do, try and ingratiate and try and plead, go too gushy with them. And obviously there were 5 of them. So he had 3 older girls and 2 lot lamakis. So the 2 little ones were precious, as tough as it was for them, because, living between mom and dad. They were easier for me because I love children, so they loved me, and we used to have fun together, and they were small enough. I think for the older girls it was much harder because, who's their dad now hooking up with. And let's face it, some stepmoms can be an absolute terror and a nightmare because of their own brokenness and insecurity that they won't let their children have access to their father and have to be in every conversation, because what if they talk about me? I actually thrive on the fact that Jamie can go and spend time alone with his girls and their family. They don't always want the steppy around, you know what I'm saying? Just go play in the traffic. They need dad time, you know. And then there's absolute Jamie won't want to go without me, you know, because sorry, you know, you're my wife and you belong by my side. So as time's gone on, I can truly say I've been embraced by all 5 of them eventually. Tough as it was, but it's been a glorious journey, yes. And
wow, in closing, Elizabeth, what would you say to the single ladies of Step Up? What would you like to say to
I would say to you right now, just focus on all that is good and positive in your life. Work on your own self-worth and your own love relationship with the Lord. Hang on to his skirt like I did, asking him to that you will not let him go until you find that first love with Yeshua and your bridegroom. And once that happens, and I'm telling you, everything else will be fulfilled, everything will be added unto you, and unless you just let go. And it's so much easier, you know, than hanging on, becoming bitter and twisted and resentful, and you become offended. And there's nothing worse of being offended at God, because he's not answering your prayers when you want. You've got to understand that it's a timing thing. And sometimes if God did give you a husband today or tomorrow, you would probably abort it because of your own brokenness, or because you're not ready for, when I'm saying ready, I'm just saying that they're broken places. It's time now, especially with Passover and Easter colliding. It's a time for deliverance, a beautiful time. And maybe this will be aired afterwards, but there's always a time for deliverance. Amen. A time of deliverance to just be delivered from your dead cats, from your old hurts and insecurities and rejections from past relationships and parents rejecting you, whatever. And hone in on the fact that you have the King of the universe as your greatest lover, the one that has masterminded your life before the foundation of the earth. He knows the end from the beginning, and it is good if you trust him and believe, because he cannot bless us without your faith. Believe his word and hang on to it, and it's proven right and correct.
Amen.
There is nothing on this planet more powerful than having God come through for you, and that you haven't brought about yourself an Ishmael.
Yeah. Ladies, from us here at Step Up, we want to say thank you for tuning in. Elizabeth, thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is definitely not the last time you are visiting us here. May God bless your journey and great success with the movie. And bring it. We will promote it. When it's out, let us know. You will come back and we will speak about it. Until next time, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chantal.
Bless you, girls.